Every once in a while, a city just decides to reinvent itself. And that story, it's usually told with cranes, with concrete, a story of massive, massive change. But if you look a little closer, it's also a story told in whispers, in the quiet dreams of just one family. So today, we're going to look at how both of those stories are playing out at the exact same time in San Pedro, California, and how they're on a collision course for the year 2026.
All right, let's get into it. We're starting with the hardware. The huge, tangible changes you can see and touch that are happening right now at the Port of Los Angeles. And listen, this isn't just a facelift. This is a city flexing its muscles, getting ready for the whole world to show up. First up on the docket, a brand new outer harbor cruise terminal. And this isn't for just any old ships, oh no. We're talking about a nearly $70 million project designed to welcome the largest cruise vessels on the planet. The port is literally building a bigger front door for a whole new wave of visitors. And that investment, it doesn't stop there. For years, the community of Wilmington has been cut off from its own waterfront. Well, this right here, the Avalon Pedestrian Bridge, is a massive $112 million promise. A promise to finally stitch that neighborhood back to the water's edge and create a connection that the people who live there have needed for so long. So, you add all this up, the new cruise terminal, the bridge, the rollout of the West Harbor waterfront that we've been waiting for, what you get is a massive new stage, a physical platform for a whole new era. But here's the thing about a stage, it's just an empty space without a story.
And for that story, we have to zoom in, way in, from that sprawling port to one single address, 363 West 6th Street. Now, this isn't a story of new construction. This is a story of resurrection. It's a building with 100 years of stories just trapped inside its walls, waiting for somebody to finally listen.
Just look at the lives this building has lived. It was a JCPenney back in the roaring 20s, with a basement that, rumor has it, might have had some Prohibition-era secrets. It was a buzzing call center, a dance studio, until 2020. When the whole world went quiet, so did this building. It just became another silent, leaking relic on the street.
And this is where things get really interesting. When Jennifer Wolfe, a therapist by trade, first walked in, she didn't see decay. She saw trauma. Those 17 leaks in the roof, they weren't just structural problems to her. They were wounds on a patient that needed to be healed, not just renovated. But to really get why someone would take on a patient like this, you have to understand the philosophy they live by. And for Jennifer and her partner Edwin, that philosophy was handed down from two people who showed them what love and strength really look like.
The entire project is named Dawn Allen, which is this beautiful combination of Jennifer's parents' names. Her mother, Donna, she was the lantern, a psychologist who believed empathy was a skill, a discipline. Her father, Alan, he was the spine, a cardiologist who became a venture capitalist, who literally spent his life healing hearts and then funding the dreams that made them beat faster. This whole project is a fusion of those two incredible spirits. But the real spark for this huge undertaking, it came from a single terrifying question about their son, Nathan. As parents who'd started their family a little later in life, they realized they didn't have forever. And they asked themselves, what are we actually building for him? What tangible legacy, beyond just money or photos, are we leaving behind? The answer had to be something real, something with walls.
So, they bought the building. They had the vision. They had the love. They had the legacy. But, as it turns out, love doesn't exactly protect you from the brutal reality of 100 years of neglect. The romantic dream was about to slam right into a very, very harsh reality.
As soon as they started demolition, the building started revealing its traumas. They found this ancient, hazardous wiring from the 50s. They found that a previous tenant had literally painted the fire sprinklers completely sealed shut. You add in that leaky roof and a budget that was just hemorrhaging money, and the dream started to feel a lot more like a nightmare.
And it all came to a head one night. Jennifer sitting on a drywall bucket, just surrounded by dust and debris. The money was bleeding out, the schedule was a disaster, and she turned to her partner and said the words that felt like giving up completely. I think we have to sell.
And then, right through all that dust and despair, their young son Nathan zips by on his little scooter, pats a scarred wall and says, with this perfect, simple certainty, "It's okay, Mommy, I'm fixing it too." And in that one moment, a first grader's pure faith was enough to completely silence all the adult doubt in the room. They didn't sell. They picked up the sledgehammers, and they got back to work.
And this right here is where our two stories, the cities and the families, finally come together. While the port was building that massive stage out of steel, this family was building the microphone, a place for the community's voice to finally be heard. The heart of this building, its creative engine, is called Voxel Micro Video Labs. And what I love about this is that the name itself is an act of resurrection. Voxel was the name of her dad's ambitious tech venture that actually failed decades ago. But for him, failure was just a rough draft of success. By naming this new lab Voxel, they're not just honoring his resilience, they're giving his dream a second chance to get it right.
So ultimately, Voxel isn't just a studio. It's a mission. In a town that is about to be flooded with tourists and new development, Voxel is designed to be the amplifier for local voices. For the artists, the entrepreneurs, the historians, it's about giving them the professional tools to make sure their stories don't get drowned out in the roar. And it all comes together in the summer of 2026. This is just incredible. The port's new waterfront will have its grand opening. The Don Allen building will open its doors. Voxel will go live. And in the most perfect fusion of public and personal commitment, after 18 years together, Jennifer and Edwin are going to get married right inside the walls they bled and sweat to bring back to life.
And that's really the question at the heart of it all, isn't it? Massive infrastructure can build a stage, a platform for the future, but that stage is silent. It takes a completely different kind of material, love, resilience, a deep sense of legacy to build the microphone and give that future a voice. The hardware is ready. Now it's time for the story.